Hello, good evening. Thank you for coming. This is Tessa-Marie and welcome to the Tessa-Marie Friday night special. Tonight, we're discussing the pillar of financial prosperity. So join me now. I'm starting the show right now and we're looking forward to having a wonderful, fun-filled evening of financial prosperity. So tonight, let's get the show on the road. Financial prosperity, wow. And everybody thinks on Friday night, somebody said to me, what are you going to do? What more can you tell us about financial prosperity? You know, financial prosperity is everywhere. It's all around us. Financial situations are everywhere. They're all around us. So it's up to us to wake up and find them. It's my job to bring them out to you today. So when I talk about financial prosperity, I am bringing you something that if you don't have it, you're going to be in some trouble. But there's so many ways for people to manage financial prosperity. So welcome, friends, all of you. Welcome. You're so important, each and every one of you. But tonight I have this special thing for you. So I overheard this, and these were the words I heard. So you decided to do it yourself. So I look back, and there is this woman and her husband talking. Well, your brother can do it, so why can I not do it? And I'm better my hands on him. And I am standing in the line and I'm 6 feet away or whatever. And I said, what a lame reason for wanting to do it. Because your brother-in-law can do it, and he is not as good with his hands as you, so you figure you could do it. But from my observation of those frustrated type of conversation, I have noticed quarrels and materials left out in the snow, in the rain, never mind the new tools and the trips to the emergency department for fingers that were cut off. And then look at the financial cost. So not just the cost of the materials, but that other cost of buying the best in everything to do something you have never ever tried or done before. DIY. So when I looked at that, this thing, my mind, just a situation going on there. And the husband is losing her cool and she is doing this thing. And I'm thinking, wow. So she's telling him, you cannot do this, don't attempt it. And he's saying, if your brother can do it, I can do it. And that, I'm listening to this. And then I said, now that's a topic for Friday night. So, for this reason, right next to the sign that says DIY course, Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, join us. We're going to teach you how to tile the kitchen floor, how to fix the faucet, how to hang a door. Come join us. You know what I believe they should have next to it? This is my new acronym. You will never believe DIY course. To do this, to do that, just join us. And then you can buy all the materials and all the extra tools you want from us. And everybody gets really dizzy. Oh man, I need to change that bedroom door. I have to get that door done. So I'm going to take that course. Of course, I believe right next to that big sign, they should have a DIY course. And everybody would say, So this can be a great idea to save money, right? To DIY. Sometimes people don't want to cut the grass. Like for example, my husband. This man knew his limit and he stayed within it. He didn't want to cut the grass. He figured the grass should go to 10 feet and then I will be able to mow it. So that man had no idea what all this meant. And it was pure financial luck that he knew it. It was pure financial luck. Because if he had gone to do those things by himself, we would be in, I have no idea where the money would have gone. But it wouldn't be fun. So since the world is opening up, everybody is going to try to do things themselves. Things are more expensive. It's costing more to buy things. Next to that DIY course, they should have a DIY. Don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. A course to show you why you shouldn't do it yourself. They should have it. DIY, DIY. Which door do you choose? You have to know which store you belong to, right? So I thought it would be great if I had that. So the woman is still complaining, and she goes, you have to call the plumber. Remember, you called the plumber. And she's still mumbling underneath her breath. They're right behind me, and I'm hoping the line stays long so I do not have to. I want to hear the whole thing. I want to feed it to you tonight. Yes, I called the plumber, and he was a thief. No, he wasn't a thief. There was water flowing all over the laundry room, she goes, and remember I said angry conversations? Well, that was one of them. And the house was going to be flooded. So when he came, he had to rush over, and he had to clean up your mess. So that's why it cost us 3 times, and he told you that. He said, had you just called me, it would only cost you this. But look at what you've done, and I have to fix it, and I have to be back tomorrow. So she said, and you're not learning your lesson. What will I do with the money? You know what I mean? He said, I can fix it. She said, no, you can't. So anyway, they're still talking. And then I looked at it and I said, there are questions people should ask themselves. Before you attempt to DIY, you should ask yourself the DIY questions. So do you have the right skills for what you need to do? Do you know? Are you coordinated? Do you have the right skills? Are you just overconfident? And you in your abilities that you think if another man can do it, I can do it. If another person can do it, I can do it. Do you have the right tools? Is an investment in brand new tools you might only need for this project once a year, is that worth the price? So that's financial prosperity. Have you looked at what it would cost you to get somebody in here, give you an estimate, stick to the estimate, don't tell them you want to change something when they're halfway through the project, or stick to the estimate and add 10 to 15% more because you might choose something else that's more costly later. So get that estimate first. You have to ask the question, you know what, before I do this, I better call the plumber, the electrician, and have them give me an estimate on the cost of this thing, the landscaper, the person that is going to tar feather the driveway, I don't know. And let them give you an estimate. Then you look at what it would cost you in the cost. Because that is, are you a DIY or are you a DIY kind of guy? Do you have the time? Will you complete the project once you started it? Are you going to really complete this project? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. So these are the small things that happen when you show up and you're saying at the big box store, DIY, hang your own door, replace your window, insulate the attic. And they forgot to tell you you're using fiberglass. You're going to itch for a few weeks unless you're covered from head to toe. What happened when you tried this before? Ask yourself those questions. What happened when I tried to do this before? Something had to have happened. What was it that happened? Where did you go again? In the emergency room. Why? Because a finger was hanging by a thread. So now you figure you're a little older, the finger has healed, and you're going to DIY. When you should, when they have these shows, they say, what is door behind door number 1 and what is behind door number 2? Maybe you should look to see what is behind door number 2. Don't do it yourself. You don't have the skills. You don't have the patience. You don't have the tools. You're overconfident. Yes, there's so many things. Ask yourself some questions. I had to call the plumber the last time. Should I try that again? Should I really take a chance? It took me 4 years and the help of my brother-in-law to paint the wall the last time I started it. So what it is you're doing here? Ask yourself those kind of questions. Was it extra charge worth the aggravation? Of course not. What will I do with the money I hope to save? So that's that's the part I like the most. I come across that all the time. Tessa-Marie, I called the gas company I called the telephone company, I called this company, that company, and I told them, listen, I do not want this service, cut this off, cut this down. And you know what? I saved $200. I said, well, how long ago you saved that $200? Oh, I saved that $200. It's 3 months now. So I said, what did you do with the money? Well, I saved it. I said, well, where is it? Well, it's in my account. I said, can you go in there and pick it up like this? And go to the cash it out and have $600 in your hand? Well, no, it got used for this and used for that. So this is what is important. If you cut back a service, or if you cut back by doing something yourself, if you bought a dress or a pair of pants and it's too short and you took it up yourself, whereas normally you would go to the place and get it altered and charge you $15, $25, then you should take that $25 you always spend and put it aside. Remember, I have always spoken to you about money having to be harvested. You have to harness it. You have to grab it. You have to hold it. And sometimes, like Yuko said, you have to love it and say, money, I really love you, I cherish you. So these people, this do-it-yourself situation, you saved the money, you cut back the service. What did you do with the money you saved? I need to know. You need to know. It makes you feel better when you know where your money has gone. It makes you feel better when you say, okay, so I didn't pay for that. I'm not paying for this. So that money, I'm going to use it to go on the vacation. I'm going to use it for part of my dinner. We're going out to dinner with that money. We haven't been to dinner for 18 months since COVID. Man, we're saving that money. It's dinner time. The best food, the best wine. But no, you don't even know where you've put it. You don't even know where it's gone, because that money you saved by the DIY should be harvested. Now, that is if you could do it. Now, what about those that cannot do the DDI? They're the DIY. Don't do it yourself. All of a sudden, they have no money. The credit card has gone up because they did the job themselves. They made such a mess. They had to bring somebody to fix the mess and then do the job. No, there is no cash to pay the labor for that person. You can get new materials on a credit card, and of course you can get cash too, but then it's a cash advance. Interest is starting the same time. How are you saving that money? That DIY course did not help you. So you have to know your limit and stay within it. Just stay within it. Do not go and DIY because the cost seems attractive. Hang your own door. Class starts at 8, Saturday morning, bright and early. Get there on time. Spots are limited. And you go. And they put a saw there and you think it's a hammer. I'm just teasing. But you know where I'm going with this? So you went and the man is following you, so you're going to hang the door, yeah? Yeah, I'm hanging the door, yeah. And you're walking towards buying the door, the tools to go for the door, the hinges, the this, the that. And he showed you have your notes, you taped it on your phone. You get home and you had, because remember it's Saturday, you woke up early anyway to go there, so you need a little snooze before you start. I'll start it on Sunday. I'll start it next week. And then finally you get it started. And you know what? It's so hot in here, I'm going to sit outside and have a drink for now. Then there goes, you wait for another week. The door is still not hanging. The faucet is sitting next to the sink. The wrench is right there, but not a nut has been moved. And all this material is brought to you. That's the situation. So, what will you do with the money you have hoped to save? You went overboard. You bought tools you didn't need to buy. You bought materials, and no, you didn't do it properly. Somebody has to come to fix it, and you have to pay them. You cannot tell them, well, here is the wrench I bought, and here is the this I bought. Will you take it for payment? No, sirree. They want their cash. So you need to go and get cash to pay them. And you put the card over the limit. So now you're pulling cash on the credit card because you didn't have a plan for this. There was no plan for this. It was a sign that enticed you and told you, yes, you can, because you were so confident you could. You don't know your skills. We have to know our limit. We have to know our area, and we have to learn to stay within it. That doesn't mean some of us can't and some of you can't. That doesn't mean that at all. But we all have to know what we are capable of doing and what we're not capable of doing. And when we're thinking of saving money, if we are blessed with the skills, the talents, the understanding, and the know-how to do this thing, then we'll account for the money. Harvest that money, harness it, put it aside. Money has to be harnessed. If it's not harnessed, it is not going to go anywhere. It will go in the pocket of sieve. It will go in the account called sieve, which is your checking account. My opinion is that the DIY at the place, the person there, that person, right, at that DIY department, they should be assessing your skills when you're doing it. They should be observing you and looking at what you're doing when you're learning to do this. If you're always standing behind and watching your partner like that while he is doing all the work, that man should say to you, you know what? I believe you should take a tradesperson to do that job for you. He should look at you. You have a partner because you work in teams in these DIY places, right? So you have the guy using the lathe over here, and that one is using the saw over there. And that one has the miter saw, and the other one that he's looking at them, and he's really trying. But that man running that DIY class should say to him, assess his skills and tell you, you know what? I believe you should just hire a tradesperson to do it for you. Say that politely. We have a course called, and I think it should still be called the DDI course coming next week. To come to that course, it'll tell you why you are not capable of doing this and what you should do. You know, then they will assess you, and they will let you know what skills and what mindset that is required for this job, for this particular thing you want to do. So that's why I said today I'm going to take the acronym DIY and change it into an acronym DDIY. Don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. Because at the end of the day, it is always a great idea. But not everybody's cut out to do those things. And one of the things about knowing self is knowing what we can do and what we cannot do. If you're standing like this while somebody else is doing the work and you're not engaged in it, then maybe that is something that should tell you you cannot do it, or you don't have the mindset for it, or the skills have left you since you were in shop at 14. This is not shop. This is money going down the drain. So before you attempt the DIY, access yourself. Look at your mind and say, am I a DDIY kind of guy? And if you are here, get the names of people that can do the stuff and have them come there. Can you imagine? I had, once we had a fan, a stand-up fan, and my brother-in-law wanted to, he had put the what do you call it, the little switch was stiff, so he had some WD-40, he sprayed into it. And then my husband was there, and he said to my husband, hand me the hammer. My husband, not realizing he needed the hammer for something else, took the hammer and he whacked the switch. And there goes the fan flying across the room. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, And his brother used the JC word at him and said, come on, man. Even if I needed to move the switch, I wouldn't need a hammer to do this. And I knew then, those 10 things were 10 thumbs. They were not fingers and thumbs. So I never got him involved in it. I would rather have go and get the tools and do it myself. So one day at the dentist said to me, your husband told me, so he didn't want to come, he's complaining I am rough on his gums and all of that. And then I said to him, I know your wife has more tools than me. Why don't you just get her to do it for you? And he looked at me and he said, oh yeah, she has a whole pile of tools. She goes and buys her tools at Home Depot. When my wife walks into the Home Depot, they go, hi Tess. Everybody knows her. And they greet her like she's one of them. And then he told me that. My husband said that. But the funniest thing is one day, my son who came with me to Home Depot, he said, Mom, they all know you. They go, oh, hi Tess. Hi Tess, because I'm always there getting things to fix things and do it myself because I couldn't trust my husband to fix things. And so he had to go to the Do Not Do It Yourself program. When I went to Do It Yourself, I sent him to Do Not Do It Yourself program. So this is what you have to do. When you're trying to save money on Do It Yourself, assess yourself. Make an assessment of yourself. Am I capable of this? Can I do this? Will I even finish it when I get started? Will it cost more when I mess it up and I have to bring somebody in to do it? And this is what it is. So you have to say, do it yourself is great. But they should also, as I said, have 2 courses in that place. Don't do it yourself and do it yourself. And make sure people that anytime you see you're doing something in a do-it-yourself project and the person who is supposed to help you has their hand behind their back and let me get my phone. I need to record this. You know you're in trouble. You cannot trust them to do it. Their fingers are going to get caught in a lathe and you will have to take them to the emergency. So before you do it yourself, you attend that great big course where the sign says you can hang a door in 30 minutes. You can fix your faucet and run the electrical wire and we'll teach you how. And if you hear your husband or your significant other is heading towards the course and you have one like me that took a hammer to move a switch, maybe you should just say, no, honey, let's call the person that can do it, who is hired to do it. So I recommend they have 2 courses. They don't do it yourself and do it yourself. And that way you will save money. But if you're fortunate to do it yourself and you have saved money, know where the money has gone. Harness the money, put the money aside, have the money for a better day. Because this is what it is. You cannot cut the cost down to save money because you used the word save and you left the money in the save account. And the save account, money just passes through it. It's like rain running through a strainer. That's what it is. But if you know you do not have the skills and the mindset to do it yourself, hire somebody. Find the cost first to see whether it's worth it for you to do it yourself. And if you can do it yourself, are you going to save money? Are you willing to give up the time that it takes? If it's not what you're trained to do, it will take you maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times longer. More trips to the hardware store, more trips to the big box store than that person who has all the tools in the truck that they brought in your driveway. So sending you light and joy on this Friday night. I am hoping that you really enjoyed this. I know it was funny, but it's a DIY. The next one should be DDIY.